In my previous video, I have done theories of learning. However, I was so brief because it was a class and I had to cover a specific objective within that class. But due to the rising demand and the nature of learning that we are having today, because this is a very critical area that we need to focus on, I have chosen to redo this class focusing on a little bit different aspects. In this video, I'm looking at the theories of learning, but I'm adding something. I want to look at the theory, the way it appears. I do an explanation on the same, but also offer an alternative way of teaching using or how to apply that theory in learning and development. So I will look at the theories that I've already mentioned earlier: behaviorism, cognitivism, constructivism, humanism. I look at connectivism, my key area of concern, connectivism. And then I will also add something, supplemental learning theories. So just to start with, when we talk about behaviorism, I have already mentioned that behaviorism is like drilling. You drill students, you give them what they need. After you've given them what they need, you have an expectation as a trainer. That is what we call a behavior, an expected behavior. You train students with an expectation that they will behave in a specific manner. And this one is so much psychological that we believe that within 90 days, if a student repeatedly does things in a routine manner, it becomes part of their life. It becomes part of their mental diary. It enters into their memory bank, and then they are able to get used and behave in that manner. So when we say drilling, we simply mean that when a trainer is in class, or when a trainer is training, they emphasize on specific stimulus response aspect of learning, or stimulus response behavior, so that a stimulus is ignited, then there is an expected response. If that response is not coming, then we are able to say we have not achieved the expected outcome. So the outcome is as a result of the response that comes out of the stimulus. How do we apply this behaviorism in learning? We apply it by providing positive reinforcement, rewarding students and children and people who are working, salaries, we give them rewards, we recognize them, we shout their names in the public positively, we show them outstanding improvement, we show them their efforts, we show them the performance. Then we also repeatedly use body language or nonverbal cues, the physical way of explaining what we want and just showing them that we appreciate. The facial expression, the eye contact, the body movements, the arms, the way we use our arms to just show that we are appreciating a specific item, a specific learning aspect. That is for behaviorism. This is something I never explained in the previous video. Then under cognitivism or cognitivism, where learning relies on both external factors like information or data and the internal thought process. Somebody receives information outwardly, but can process this information to the extent that this information becomes part and parcel of them, especially when they have understood. Now, how do we apply cognitivism in a learning environment? To apply cognitivism in a learning environment, you engage your students in groups or classes. That class or a group discussion, they discuss about an idea. And you see, because it's a group, there is information that is coming from the group members, that's external information. Then the person participating in the discussion is supposed to digest that information and come up with an outstanding thought, a clear thought. Then also, you encourage your students to identify links between concepts and events. Most probably, you can as well provoke, you can as well use events and situations and thoughts and concepts to help them understand what they are doing. I remember when my chemistry teacher was teaching me how to prepare sulfuric acid. She told me to follow a certain procedure, which I knew. So I would follow the procedure, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I mixed the first item, the second, and the third, and mixed up to where I reached and I have a product. Then she asked me, "What do you think this is?" And I said, "I don't know." I tried to think about it. She told me, "Try." I gave her answers which were all wrong, and she was able to correct me. But she did not tell me you have made sulfuric acid. She reminded me by giving me the theories that we had learnt in class. And she was able to remind me simply by telling me, "Do you remember when we said when you mix this and this is what you have used? It represents this." And finally, I was able to say, "I have made sulfuric acid," just like that. So that is for cognitivism. Then we have constructivism, where a learner can build upon his or her previous experiences. This is where somebody remembers the past and uses the past to learn. It is more of psychological because it works with memory. Now, how do you apply this constructivism in learning? You can use reciprocal teaching and learning. You can allow students to work in pairs and role play, exchange roles. Once this one has finished to do her part or his part, they exchange and the other one starts the same process. And you realize the second person to participate, the second person to do it is likely going to correct the mistakes made by the first person, and the first person is likely going to learn. It is all about also inquiry-based learning. That is the IBL, where learners pose their own questions and mostly they do a research to get answers. It is also problem-based learning, where we look at a problem and solve those. We identify problems before we identify their solutions. And solutions cannot just be identified. We can research, we can modify the solutions at hand, we can do a lot of questions and answers, and even doing a lot of interviews and just putting our answers together to solve the problem. And maybe you can also apply constructivism through cooperative learning, that learning is not individual based. You cooperate, you collect data together, you make conclusions together, you come up with answers of the questions at hand together. Cooperative learning. Then there is this one called humanism. Humanism is learner centric, where we say that the potential of a learner depends on the material they are using to learn. And here we really understand the inherent good focus of human beings in creating or being creative in the environment. When a human being is creative in the environment, then we say humanism is taking place. So how do you apply humanism? Humanism is applied by identifying ways to provide your students with more control over direction and pace of learning. They can control the pace of learning. They can, it's a learner-centric approach. They can tell you, "Teacher, you are too fast." Or you can ask them, which is the best speed to learn? Which is the best method would you wish us to learn? Would you wish us to learn by me giving you questions first, then you